Welcome back to another episode of Pure Evil MMA. I cannot wait to talk about today's show. There's so much to talk about. I mean, we have two events going down this weekend between UFC 220, Francis and Bellator versus Stipe Miocic, one of the biggest fights in heavyweight history. And also, we're kicking off the Bellator Grand Prix with Sonnen versus Rampage Jackson, and there's a lot of news going around this week. So 2018 is already on the ups and ups, and I cannot wait to break into it. You guys have been awesome on social media, on Twitter. Last week the show tripled in views on YouTube. I love it. Thank you guys so much for following me. Subscribe down below for all of our new listeners if you're listening on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, or watching here on YouTube. Subscribe down below because we do this every single week. We have so much to talk about, like I said, and last week we had some UFC pick'em winners. I know you guys are waiting for me to announce your name, so that is coming up in just a little bit. Guys, I am so excited for 2018, the way that things are going, some of the future cards that we got, some of the news that's coming out. Like, we're all at the edge of our seat. Some of the news is making me really anxious and angry, especially this Conor McGregor news with Tony Ferguson, Khabib, the Bellator thing. The big thing about the Bellator thing is, if you guys don't know what I'm already talking about, probably not, is they switched up the main event. It was supposed to be Rory McDonald. That should be your main event if you're Bellator. But they switched it between Sonnen and Rampage, so now that is the new main event. And these two cards are going down at the same time. UFC 220 and Bellator are clashing at the same time. So immediately, I was like, Bellator, you're starting a new year with old mistakes. Once again, why are you doing this? And then I thought about it for a second. And it's almost genius in a way. And I'm going to tell you why in just a second. We're going to be talking about that. I'm going to be giving away my predictions. I see a lot of you guys have been asking me all week to drop my predictions, so they are coming. Make sure you guys are following the Facebook page because I always post them on there, or on Instagram at Pure Evil MMA. Before we jump into today's show, guys, we got some updates from last week's episode with Jimmy Smith signing with the UFC, and Big John McCarthy. We announced last week that he is now in replacement of Jimmy Smith, and Jimmy was just on Joe Rogan's podcast to break in. I have some thoughts and ideas on it, and I want to know what you guys think about this. Especially the whole chew with the mouse open thing. That's the only thing I can say bad about Jimmy Smith, is when he was eating cheese on Joe Rogan's podcast, I was like about to smash my TV. But other than that, I love the guy. I thought it was totally cool. He was on Rogan's podcast, smoking a joint with everybody, just fitting in, part of the gang. So I was picking up some vibes, and I got to share some of my ideas. Maybe you guys were picking up the same ones. Like I said, Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson was announced this week, and also, guys, Ronda Rousey back in the news. We have some updates on that. And one last thing before we jump into today's show, the new merch is up on teespring.com/pureevil. For everybody out there, I made sure that even if you have $4, you can get something at teespring.com/pureevil. It's as simple as that. We got hoodies, we got girl tees, we got guy tees in red, black, blue, all sorts of colors, all sorts of sizes, from extra small to 5XL. And it would be a huge help, guys. Every dollar is going to go towards the podcast. And what it really is about is you guys representing out there, the street team. You guys are the most important part about this podcast. You guys are what really hypes me up to share the news, hear some of your guys' opinions. I always share my opinion with you guys, and even bring up some of your opinions on the podcast. And for any new listeners, make sure you're using hashtag PureEvilMMA to join in with the rest of the crew. All right, so let's jump into some of the news.
You have no conditioning. You're flat-footed. You have no rhythm, and you're one-dimensional. You get hurt by your team, man. We're gonna be surprised if we make it to the weigh-ins.
Blah 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 blah.
No BS. Just get there, all right? Just get there.
All right, guys, so I thought I'd start today's news segment off with one of the biggest headlines that's going around in the MMA community on Twitter and everywhere. Everybody's talking about this, and it's one of the most exciting fights that you can announce. But here's the catch: for everybody that's been a fan of MMA for as long as I have been, you know that you can take this with a grain of salt. Khabib Nurmagomedov is going to be fighting Tony Ferguson. It is matched up for the 4th time now. It's supposedly going down April 7th, which, I mean, it could be an April Fool's joke, honestly. April 7th at the Barclays Center, so in Brooklyn, and they had the Mayweather-McGregor press conference there. You guys might remember when he walked out in the polar bear outfit. It was like 102 degrees that day. I was there, and it was hot as hell. I had no idea. Like, the crowd was absolutely restless. McGregor comes out, and it was just a shit show. But that's where it's going to be. It's only 90 minutes away, but with traffic, it's about 5 hours. It literally took 5 hours to get there. And once we did, Conor McGregor was like 2 hours late. It was just an absolute mess. And once again, Conor McGregor has everyone waiting for him once again in 2018 as we match up Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. But yet, Conor's the one with the title. Conor's the one that's holding the belt. So what does this fight really mean? And here's my thing on it. This is the UFC's mistake. You guys might jump down my throat on this, and it's fine. You could. The UFC made this mess, in my opinion. In 2017, Conor McGregor had one of the biggest fights in history. Maybe not the best or the most exciting or the most memorable, but what it was, like the entire world was watching that night, and one of the biggest pay-per-views of all time. Even though Conor McGregor wasn't fighting inside the octagon, he was still active somehow, and Dana White even agrees with that, and I know there's a lot of you guys out there that really disagree, and I even do at the same time, because if you want to see Conor McGregor fight, say it all the time. You want to see him fight in the cage. You want to see him in the octagon. And if you're out of the cage for that long, unless you're injured, when it's coming up on 2 years, because it is coming up on 2 years, UFC 205 was the last time Conor McGregor was inside the octagon to fight Eddie Alvarez. And it was an amazing fight. And he became the double champ. They stripped him of the featherweight title. And then almost 2 years later now, guys. And now if Conor waits for the winner of this one too, you're talking... If this fight's in April, May, June, July, August, September, you might not see Conor versus the winner of Tony and Khabib till September. Interim belts, I've been against it since day one. And if they didn't do this, there wouldn't be all this confusion. Either strip Conor and have these two fight for the belt, or don't. Conor really needs to come back, I understand that, but there have been rumors that he's going to be fighting GSP. And hear me out on this one. This is the only reason why this rumor came about. It's because Coach John Kavanagh was spotted at TriStar in Canada where GSP trains. What was he doing there? That's the big question. GSP just vacated his title after he beat Michael Bisping. So is Conor McGregor going to vacate the lightweight title, let Tony and Khabib fight it out, and then have a super fight, you can call it, between GSP and Conor McGregor? Would you guys like to see that fight? We even mentioned this as a joke not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, as we ended out 2017. We were kind of joking about this fight. Even people were like, watch next, they're going to be like Conor versus GSP. But it looks like this could be real. And nobody should be surprised. If they had Mayweather versus McGregor, why should you be surprised about GSP dropping back down? But those are the rumors going around right now. So is Conor McGregor going to let up the title? What do you guys think about this? Is this the UFC's fault for making this entire mess of things with the interim title? There are fighters out there like Cub Swanson that are like, I don't see what the big deal is. It hasn't been that long. Conor was sort of active. And what about all the other fighters around? It almost seems like a lot of fans are relying on Conor McGregor for the big show. Like, there's no other fighter that's going to entertain them the way that Conor McGregor is going to entertain them. And they don't want to see anything else, any other night, any other show. All they care about is Conor McGregor. And that is not true at all. It is crazy that people think that. But I understand it was a really slow 2017. Somewhat. I mean, Dana White claims that it was the best year ever, looking at the numbers and stuff, but we looked at the numbers and it really wasn't the best year ever, unless you're really bringing in Mayweather McGregor into the conversation. And it's not the case over at the UFC. The MMA fans want to see the superstars fight real fights. So is GSP going to be fighting Conor McGregor? Would you guys rather see that than defend the title? Even Nate Diaz, I mentioned it on last week's show. Nate Diaz is back in the gym. Or is he going to do the trilogy fight? Is it too soon for the trilogy fight? Even people out there tweeting saying, are people still interested? Of course people are still interested in Nate Diaz. They're more interested now than ever to see that trilogy fight. There are a lot of people out there that still think Nate won that night at UFC 202. I had a blast walking around the city. And you guys here on YouTube can go back and watch. I walked around New Haven City and I was asking people on the street. I was like, are you going for Conor or are you going for Nate Diaz? And I met a lot of characters on the street in New Haven. We went to the Irish neighborhoods and we're asking them around there because everyone was going for Nate Diaz. I was totally surprised. But honestly, Conor McGregor needs to get back in there. I really understand. What do you guys think? Let me know down below here on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, Stitcher, wherever you're at. And conversate on Twitter at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. All right, so another huge headline this week that I think surprised a lot of people out there is John Bones Jones passes a polygraph test. If you guys don't know, Jon Bones Jones is one of the biggest UFC superstars in UFC history. I mean, he's beat some of the best in the world, and he even came back to beat Daniel Cormier in the rematch, but right after got busted. And there was a lot of hype. He got stripped of the title. Now DC's the champ, and he's going to be fighting this weekend. So Jon Bones Jones is just so upset. Everyone thinks that it's all downhill from here. There's no way that we believe him anymore. There's no way that, fool me once, right? Fool me twice, but now it's like 4 or 5 times now. He's lost a lot of fans, but there's a breakthrough. And take this with a grain of salt because he passed a polygraph test. So if we look at this as a court case, usually in court, I watch Forensic Files. I even took a law class in college. In a court case, if you pass a polygraph test, it really doesn't mean much. It doesn't really prove much. They can ask you a question that could stimulate your brain and really make you jump, and you could be telling the truth. But in this case, is there anybody out there that really thinks that Jon Bones Jones is innocent? This really doesn't prove anything, but it is something. That's the thing. This is something. And he has a 2-year suspension. If anything, maybe this will take a little time off of his suspension, if anything. The UFC really needs Jon Bones Jones, and they have their ways of pulling their strings. This is one of the biggest headlines going around especially because we need our stars in 2018. Everyone's wanting Conor McGregor to come back. I keep saying it. You need Conor McGregor to come back, and it's not true. There are other stars out there. But what do you guys think about this? Should we give him another chance or not? Let me know on Twitter and down below here on YouTube, iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher.
No, well, yeah, it's not a Bellator thing. Breakup thing.
They fucked up. Just say it.
When your girlfriend comes to you and says, "I want to talk," it's never. I don't give enough blowjobs. That's never what they never say that.
Alright, so this is an update from last week's episode. One of the biggest headlines last week was a significant change for Bellator and the UFC. So last week it was announced that Jimmy Smith, the longtime Bellator commentator, is now leaving Bellator. So the position was up, and we were all wondering, it's going to be Frank Mir, it's going to be Chael Sonnen. Who the hell is it going to be? Who's going to be filling the place of Jimmy Smith? And everybody knows Jimmy Smith as the guy who really resembles Joe Rogan. So it kind of tricks people sometimes if they don't know the sport that well. They might even think they're watching the UFC because this guy looks like Joe Rogan. They associate UFC with Joe Rogan. And Jimmy Smith leaves Bellator, and Big John McCarthy, longtime referee, steps in as commentator now, and he's leaving officiating for now at least. He can always go back into it, but for now he's going to be commentating. I don't think it's that good of a trade. I can't wait to see how Big John McCarthy does in there. I'm sure he'll do just fine. Jimmy Smith, it was announced that he is going to be a UFC commentator, and they finally had him on the Joe Rogan podcast, and they did a fight night. So Jimmy Smith is actually going to be doing commentating for UFC 220 going down Saturday night, and I can't wait to see how he does. But he was on the Fight Companion. It was really interesting to see how he got along with Brian Callen, Eddie Bravo, and Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan and him apparently are really close friends, but Jimmy Smith, he was new to the crew. It almost seemed like they're having a grown man sleepover. It almost seemed. I love when they bro out. And everyone enjoys watching Joe Rogan, at least for the most part. I've been a huge fan of the Joe Rogan podcast for a long time. I remember watching Joe Rogan when I was a kid on Fear Factor with my family. We all know Joe Rogan from the Chappelle Show. I smoke rocks, Joe Rogan. So, Joe Rogan really just hits a chord with everybody, and I've been a huge fan of his show. So it was interesting to see how Jimmy Smith was going to be doing, mingling with them. Jimmy Smith was sitting back, literally... Joe broke the ice and was like, "You smoke?" He was like, "On occasion for celebration." It was a celebration. You just got hired at the UFC. Jimmy Smith sits back and starts smoking a joint with everybody, him and Eddie Bravo, and I was like, all right, cool, he's down. The one thing I have to say, and let me know if you guys watched this and felt the same way, because I was picking up a lot of different things. I felt like Jimmy was annoying some people. I felt like maybe he was cutting Joe off a little bit, but it's all practice. They're practicing. And they just seemed like he was just so happy to be there. And I loved his presence. I thought he did a great job talking with Joe and breakdown analysis. I thought that they were on the same length. And that's why Joe was like, I was about to say that. I felt like that was kind of the frustration. I don't know if you guys felt it. Another thing I want to say about Jimmy Smith on the Rogan podcast is Brian Callen. This is a message to Brian Callen. Brian Callen, never bring cheese, especially raw cheese, or whatever it was, your vegan cheese, whatever it was, please, please, please never, ever, ever bring cheese on a podcast, because nobody wants to hear on their car speakers or in their headphones when they're jogging. We have listeners all over the world on the Joe Rogan Experience, and for them to sit there like I did, hearing that, wanting to smash my TV, never again. Everybody hearing this, if you agree with me, please tweet Jimmy Smith, Brian Callen, and Joe Rogan and let them know cheese is not allowed in the studio ever again. You should know this, guys. You should know this. I mean, I don't care if you're sitting there puffing on a joint. I don't care, but nobody wants to hear somebody chewing. I mean, isn't that just common sense? And here's the thing, Jimmy, I don't know if somebody tapped him on the shoulder and told him, but like I felt like Joe was picking that up. Maybe I was just stoned. I don't know. But I felt like I was picking up the same vibes that are going on in that room, and I just want to know if anyone out there agrees. So let me know down below here on YouTube or on Twitter at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. So guys, let's jump into another female headline with Ronda Rousey. Let's jump into that. Alright, so if you do not know who Ronda Rousey is, then I'm assuming that you've been living under a rock for the past 7 years, or however long it's been since Ronda has been going around all the Hollywood blockbuster movies, knocking girls out, submitting them, and then losing to them eventually. But guys, finally was announced. Ronda Rousey is officially a part of the WWE, and I don't know how to feel about this. And if you have been watching the show for a while, you know my reaction to that cringy, awful, acting, awkward, as fake as it gets attempt to cause beef with the other girls on WWE. If you guys can go back and watch this on YouTube, there's a clip of it. Ronda Rousey is talking smack with her girls to another bunch of girls, and it was just so bad. So once I saw that, there was a big disconnect there for me. Like, am I excited to see what Ronda's going to be doing in the WWE? Now it is official that Ronda Rousey is going to be a part of the WWE. And you know what? I will check it out. I would not mind checking out what she's going to do in there. If they're not setting it up where she's going to walk in there and just smoke some chick in a matter of seconds, then it's even more unrealistic, or is it? And here's my thing about this. You guys might be like, oh, Ronda's gone forever. But maybe this is what Ronda actually needs to get her spirit pumped up again, to fall in love with the sport again. Maybe this is what she needs to find her roots and why she fell in love with all of this. And then she'll come back like the motivated Ronda Rousey and whoop some ass. Maybe you guys are disagreeing with me. Maybe you guys are thinking, Ed, let it go. Ronda's over with. You're like Amanda Nunes. Ronda Rousey is done. Ronda Rousey is done. No. I really hope not. That would be the worst ending to this story. I thought she was really going to retire undefeated, but I love the fact. I don't love the fact, but it's really interesting that she did lose to Holly Holm, the preacher's daughter, and really got humbled after that, and then returned again and really thought that she was going to get the title back immediately, no questions asked, against this badass chick Amanda Nunes. The UFC machine even got behind her, was pushing her. She's back everywhere. The entire promo was like 17 minutes of Ronda, 3 minutes of Amanda, and then Amanda goes in there and drops her in 48 seconds. Ronda didn't know what hit her, and boom, Ronda's gone. So maybe she's gone. Maybe she's gone for good. Maybe she'll never step foot in the cage, and it would just be sad. It really would be. It would just be really upsetting for that to be her ending, and I really hope not, because if you think about it, 20 years later, when she's looking back at that, I mean, you can't live life with regret, and as scary as it is, I bet for her, I mean, it has to be really scary. You have the world watching. I mean, there was just so much pressure on her that night, and she did not seem right the night when she walked out against Amanda. I mean, there was just something off. I don't know what it was. But Ronda Rousey, I really wish her the best. I really hope that this is what she needs. If she is planning on coming back, I really want that fairy tale ending for her. I think that would be awesome. Come back, having a really exciting fight. There were rumors that she was going to be coming back a couple of weeks ago. And she was rumored to be going to be fighting Miesha Tate for the third time. And then we found out that Miesha Tate is pregnant. Oh, and speaking of, another huge announcement for the female side of the sport, is the Venezuelan vixen. She had her baby this week. I don't know exactly what day, but she had her baby this week, and it's a healthy baby, so congratulations to the vixen. So let me know what you guys think about Ronda. Am I crazy? Am I just in love with Ronda? Am I literally insane for thinking this? Or could this be real? Could this be true? Could this be the way that she's going to be able to rid Edmund Taverdian? Say, you know what, I'm going to leave the sport. I'm going to focus on this. I don't really need you for this. She's going to be hanging out with her girls, Shayna Baszler. She's going to be in good hands. Maybe this is what she needs. This is what it's going to take to drop Edmund. I'm signing the papers. Do it. If this is what it's going to take for you to break that bond with Edmund Taverdian, please. But here's the other thing, and Ted Check will tell you all the time. If you're out of the sport for a year, it's like leaving for 3 years because the sport is always evolving. There's a lot to this, but it has been announced that Ronda is now a part of the WWE. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let's get on to this weekend's blockbuster first UFC pay-per-view of 2018, and I cannot wait. We also have Bellator, and here's the thing about this. Well, you know what? Let's just jump into it. All right, so going down Saturday, January 20th, Stipe Miocic, the current heavyweight champion, is going to be fighting Francis Ngannou, who's only lost one fight in his entire career. He's 11-1, and he's been on an absolute killing spree through the UFC. He ran into some trouble with Curtis Blades earlier on, I think in 2015, end of 2015, and actually interviewed Curtis Blades after that fight happened, and he was actually able to not manhandle Francis, but he was able to take him down, and we saw a different side to Francis after that. He really evolved after that. So for anybody that really judges that fight, you can really only take it with a grain of salt, because he's evolved tremendously since that fight. It's almost been 2 years, and now he's been knocking dudes out left and right. You could have the argument of, well, the last couple of dudes that he fought, like Andrei Arlovsky, were at the end of their career. They're on a losing streak. Look at Overeem. Overeem was on a huge run not too long ago before he ran into Stipe, and then he gets knocked out like that. It was just, I was scared when Stipe Miocic got knocked out by Francis. I really was, because it looked like he literally snapped his neck. I literally thought that Overeem was dead. And I'm a little nervous for Stipe Miocic, and Stipe was probably a little scared. But, that's got to be hard to deal with, sitting there as Dana White is saying this.
And Francis Ngannou has the world record for the most powerful punch. His punch is the equivalent to 96 horsepower, which is equal to getting hit by a Ford Escort going as fast as it can. And it's more powerful than a 12-pound sledgehammer swung full force from overhead.
What? Why are you telling me this? You're scaring the shit out of me, Dana White. This is going to be a huge thing for the UFC, because they really need another big star. And if you have somebody like this, like another Bob Sapp, somebody that just seems like a goddess. This has been going back for thousands of years, where people need that circus character where it's like the strongest man on earth. Come watch him pummel some dudes. And Francis Ngannou, I can see him becoming the champion. And he's saying that he wants to fight Brock Lesnar if he becomes champion. That would be a cool fight. But there's a lot of people I would love to see him fight next, like Fabricio Verdum, even Derek Lewis. So everybody's been waiting for that fight, but they wanted to see them both grow. I think they really put Derek Lewis to the ringer. Francis Ngannou finally has the chance to become the UFC champion, and I'm a little scared for Stipe Miocic. How can't you? So I'm going to be giving my predictions for this card moving down. We're going to be looking back at some of Stipe's last couple of fights, a couple of Francis' last couple of fights, get a little further into this co-main event. But first, I really want to mention Bellator is also going down the same day, Saturday, January 20th, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern time, guys. It's going to be going down on Spike TV, aka the Paramount Network. And here's the thing about this. I was a little angry about this. I was like, Bellator, you're making the same mistakes here on a fresh new year. Why are you doing that? Here's the idea. Well, for the people who don't have $60 that don't want to see the UFC card, because honestly, the Bellator card seems a little better than the UFC card. And it's free on Spike TV at the same time. You got Rory McDonald in there. So here's my reason for them switching it up, and shout out to BLT for this, Brock Lesnar's teddy bear, for bringing it to my awareness. Maybe the reason why they switched up Roy McDonald and Chael Sonnen and Rampage is because for the people who are wanting to watch both fights, you have a chance to tune into Roy McDonald, one of the best welterweights in the entire world, fight Douglas Lima, and then you have a chance to switch back over to the UFC and watch the main event of Stipe Miocic versus Francis Ngannou. It's perfect, and it might really benefit the Roy McDonald fight, because if you're having the same two timetables for the main event, it's just really going to not blend together. There's not going to be many people tuning into Bellator, but maybe this way is a way for people to, they're going to be really picking up the tail end of people who want to watch fights but don't have $60 to spend on the pay-per-view. Maybe they watch the beginning of the UFC card. Speaking of, Gleison Tebow is back. What? Haven't seen that guy since like 2014 or 15. Freaking action figure body. Since USADA came through, he probably does not look the same at all. So I'm interested to see what he's going to be looking like. And also, guys, I just really think this is a genius idea, but don't run into it too many times, because Bellator really doesn't have that many cards throughout the year. So you got to really be careful with that. On this night, I guess it is genius. I'm really excited to see the Bellator Grand Prix, though. Starting off with Chael Sonnen, and let me quick give you my predictions for those, because we're not going to really get into the Bellator fights exactly, but my official picks for Lima versus McDonald. I wouldn't be surprised if Lima can knock out Roy McDonald, but I'm going with Roy McDonald to beat Lima and become the champion. And also Rampage versus Sonnen. I see a lot of you guys out there going for Chael Sonnen on this. I would love to see Rampage, but how motivated is Rampage right now? Like, I used to be a huge Rampage Jackson fan. I loved him. That season Ultimate Fighter that he was on was one of my favorite seasons against Rashad Evans. He rips apart that door. Huge fan of him going way back to when they went into Pride with the UFC's, Chuck Liddell and Rampage. Everyone went at it. That was exciting. John Bones, I'll never forget, we had a pay-per-view party when I was in high school, or I think maybe it was a year or two after high school. John Bones Jones versus freaking Rampage Jackson. I'll never forget how upset I was that Rampage lost that night. I was just like, he's eating those leg kicks awful. Why isn't he doing anything? Rampage literally was so shook. He just kept eating leg kick after leg kick after leg kick, and Rampage was like, what is this? Stop it. Like, just couldn't get into rhythm, and I was just so frustrated after that. But I would love to see him win this Grand Prix. It's a little weird how they have a heavyweight Grand Prix with Ryan Bader and King Mo. A lot of people are favoring Matt Mitrione to win it all. This is a tough one, man. And here's my prediction for tomorrow night, because we're going to slowly go on with the predictions as the Grand Prix goes on. And here's actually what the Grand Prix looks like. Here's the actual chart for it for you guys that are watching the video cast. All right, so you got Rampage versus Chael Sonnen. Then you got Fedor versus Frank Mir on the left side. On the right side, you got Matt Mitrione versus Roy Nelson. And then you have Ryan Bader versus King Mo under them. So the winner of Ryan Bader versus King Mo will move forward and fight the winner of Matt Mitrione and Roy Nelson. And the winner from Rampage versus Sonnen is going to go over and fight the winner of Fedor versus Mir. I'm really excited to see Fedor versus Mir. I'm going for Fedor to win that fight. Frank Mir returning after the Kangaroo Meat incident after 2 years. I'm going to be interested to see how he does coming off that knockout as well. Walk-off KO over Mark Hunt, where Mark Hunt absolutely knocked out Frank Mir and just walked away. So I believe that was his last fight in the UFC, and then he got popped. So Fedor to win that fight for me. For an early prediction here. And Rampage versus Sonnen, I'm going for Rampage to win this fight. I want Rampage to win it. I'm in it, even though he has me blocked on social media, on Twitter. I love Rampage. I'm still a huge fan, but Chael can definitely do it. Chael has the wrestling ability, but Rampage has been fighting not too motivated. I see a lot of people saying that Rampage really doesn't look that motivated. He looks like he's been eating a lot of ketchup. I see people saying apparently Rampage didn't know that there was sugar in ketchup, that ketchup's not good for you. I don't know. We'll see how the fights are tomorrow night, and it's free on Paramount. So let's jump into UFC. All right, guys. So UFC 220, it's going down, like I said, Saturday, January 20th, and Stipe Miocic, Francis Ngannou. Before we even talk about anything else in this card, I thought it was really funny the other night watching Space Jam. I was like, you know what? This is Francis Ngannou and Oezdemir. And I'm so sorry for anybody watching or listening to the podcast, but hopefully you know who I'm talking about in my head. Space Jam with Michael Jordan, Bugs Bunny, and all them. And there's a huge joke going around a couple of months ago about Rashad Evans. Everyone was saying it almost seemed like Rashad Evans got his energy sucked away like the basketball from Space Jam, and it was like so perfect because I can picture like a UFC glove, and you have like Rashad Evans' hand on it, you have Frank Mir's hand on it, you have whoever, BJ Penn's hand on it, and everyone's freaking powers get sucked out and put into like TJ Dillashaw and like all these other fighters that rose up in the past couple of years. So I just think it's really funny that Volkan Oezdemir looks like the green guy, or the blue guy, and Francis Ngannou looks just like the green guy. Absolutely hilarious. So just throwing that out there. But the big thing is, can Stipe Miocic get past Francis Ngannou? And here's the thing where I have to argue. Stipe Miocic has beat so many people in that weight division. Like he deserved that title shot. But here's the thing that worries me. The one person that really has knocked him out recently, well, not that recently, it was the skyscraper Stefan Struve. Stefan Struve knocked out Stipe Miocic. I mean, since then, he's been on a rampage, been on an amazing win streak. But the fact of the matter is, if Francis Ngannou lands a hand on him, it's going to be a lot more painful than the skyscraper. And you guys can go back and watch that fight. Like I said, Stipe Miocic has been on an absolute tear since then, beating people like Mark Hunt, beating people like Andrei Arlovsky 2 years ago, Fabricio Verdum. I mean, that Fabricio Verdum fight, I don't know how many of you guys, if we have new fans out there, but Fabricio Verdum at the time was the UFC champion. He beat Cain Velasquez. We were so excited to see this fight against Stipe Miocic. It was in Brazil. The entire night was so excited. Little Nog won, and Little Nog was like on a losing skid. We're like, a lot of people were like, he should retire. The Brazilians just did so amazing. Shogun Rua won that night, I believe against John Vellante. Cyborg made her debut that night. And then we had our main event of Fabricio Verdum, and he walks out with that crazy smile on his face, like everything's okay. Joe Rogan was calling it, he was on Queer Street. So Joe Rogan was saying. And he really was, because he came out there and literally charged that Stipe. And Stipe was like, hold on a second. I mean, just the vibe that Stipe had, walking out to Machine Gun Kelly, my favorite rapper, and then just starching Fabricio Verdum the way that he did. Just really put a huge statement on the entire weight division to let everybody know that he is here, and he is about to break the UFC record for most defended heavyweight titles. He's the most winningest fighter, everybody's saying, the winningest fighter. Never heard that word before in my life, but apparently they are using it every other week in the UFC. Stipe Miocic has a chance to really break a record, but Francis Ngannou, like I mentioned earlier, he could be a huge star that the UFC could really use right now. Like I mentioned numerous times in this show, the UFC is lacking their superstars. But, after he beat Fabricio Verdum, we're like, all right, let's see what Stipe Miocic can do. Alistair Overeem was currently on the rise at the same time. He comes out and beats Alistair Overeem with a serious ground and pound. I mean, Alistair Overeem, he has got over 50 fights, guys. For the guys out there that don't know, Alistair Overeem is one of the best. Francis Ngannou just got past him, and it was absolutely brutal. But Overeem in this fight clipped Stipe Miocic, and Stipe Miocic was able to come back and finish Alistair Overeem. After that fight, the Junior Dos Santos fight against Stipe, where Stipe ended up winning by punches, by KO. So this is going to be a really exciting fight. I'm really nervous for Stipe, and I really would love him to win. But I don't know. But on this one, Francis Ngannou, I think everyone thinks is going to win, so I feel safe on this one. Our co-main event, guys, we got DC versus Volkan Oezdemir. Another very interesting fight, because DC really is underestimating Volkan here. And I've been watching the UFC Embedded, and it's really comical how DC and Volkan are interacting, because DC's like serious but not serious. Like, he's been through it so many times. Volkan is like the new kid at school, and DC's walking around like the varsity jacket and just really comfortable in his environment. And I love seeing that out of DC. You're probably going to see a really great performance out of DC because he's so comfortable, but you can't be too comfortable where you're looking past your opponent. We'll say it all the time, guys, because it could be the kiss of death. It really is. Volkan Oezdemir, for you guys that don't know, been starching every opponent in the first round, and it was going on in Titan FC. We're like, yeah, it's Titan FC. Wait till he reaches the UFC. It's a whole different ball game. Comes to the UFC for a short notice fight and just first round knockout after the other, one after the other. And DC not too long ago was like, if I found myself fighting Volkan Ozdemir, he's part of the JV squad, then you know I made the wrong turn at some point in my career. And here we are, January 20th, it's going down. And Volkan Ozdemir has a chance to upset a lot of people because DC's coming off a loss. So you have to keep that in mind also here. Volkan has a lot of punching power, but I worry about later on in the fight. Like, DC's going to be riding him all night. Once DC catches him, it's going to be stuck on him like glue. So it's going to be interesting to see what Volkan Ozdemir looks like. If he can, if he doesn't finish DC in the first round, he's going to be in for quite the ride there, because DC will ride him out through the entire fight, and it's not going to be a boring fight. DC will ride him out, and he'll probably finish him, submit him. Matter of fact, that's my prediction. DC by submission, probably in the third round, second or third round. That's what I'm going for. But if Volkan has a shot at all, it's going to be the first round, and that's it. I don't really see anything else in this fight. Another thing that worries about me, in the co-main and the main event, you got two power punchers. How many times have we seen power punchers with all this hype behind them? Everyone's like, they're the next champ. I mean, both these guys have a chance to be under the big spotlight and become UFC champions. Let me tell you this. A year and a half ago, not many people knew who either of these guys were. Even you can even say that till a couple of weeks ago, not many people knew who Francis Ngannou was, especially Volkan Ozdemir. So going into this fight, the championship fight, when they walk out in this Coliseum and they smell beer and popcorn and Vaseline, don't tell me for a second that doesn't hit the root of your stomach and make you feel a little nervous. People like DC, people like Stipe Miocic, they've been in this position time and time again. I mean, Stipe is a little new to it. DC, he's been in this position how many times? I like that DC is really calm here, because the night of the fight, when it's a fight like this, it could change a lot for fighters. And what makes me nervous about power punchers, my point being for this whole conversation, is you could just see these two loading up all night, waiting for that one clean shot, not doing anything else. We saw this in the fight with Mike Perry versus Alan Jouban. I mean, those weren't the heavyweights, but this happens a lot in the heavyweight division, where there's a guy that just has knockout power, and he'll just circle and circle and wait for that big punch, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. So I'm hoping that it's not a snooze fest. But I am rooting for DC. I got DC winning by submission in the second round. Let's look and see what else we got on this card, because we have a lot of people who have been on the show before, like Shane Burgos, who is the third fight down from the main event. So Shane Burgos, I had one of my buddies actually message me and ask me who to put money on. Shane Burgos could be a safe bet here on this one. I mean, he's on an absolute win streak. His opponent, though, Calvin Kattar, man, he's on quite the win streak as well, 17-2 record, but he is the plus 165 underdog. You got Shane Burgos at a negative 190 slight favorite, and 84% of you guys right now on Tapology are going for Hurricane Shane Burgos, who's been on quite the win streak. I mean, he's beaten Pepe in his last fight. He's beaten Charles Rosa, who we've also had on the show right before that fight. But this is a pretty good fight, guys. I'm going to be excited for this one. Honestly, I got Shane Burgos winning by KO in the first round. That's what I'm going for. Clicking it right now on Tapology. All right, moving on. We got Gian Villante versus Francimar Barroso. Here's the thing about Gian Villante that really makes me nervous a lot of the time. I was always a huge fan of Gian Villante. He's been rising. In every fight, I get so excited what he's going to bring to the table. I mean, being really close with Stipe Miocic, being close with Chris Weidman. I mean, you're training with some of the elite guys. But, like, especially the Shogun Rua fight, I was like, Gian Villante, you need to kick it into that second and third gear, man. He gets stuck in the first round. He'll win. This is what happens. In the first round, Gian Villante wins. And then he just falls apart. His game plan goes out the window. And he just can't put it in second gear. Like, he goes in there with a plan A, but no plan B. And it just frustrates me so much. And I really am rooting for him in this fight. And he does have a chance to win. Of course, everybody has a shot to win. But I just get so frustrated. I cannot put money on this fight. But if I'm betting on it, I mean, if I had an imaginary $5, with Gian Villante being on a 2-fight losing streak and his opponent on a 1-fight losing streak, I'm going with Gian Villante. on this one, but damn, man. It's going to be frustrating, I can tell you that. But some of the past couple of opponents that John Vellante has fought, like Shogun Rua and, Patrick Cummins, maybe he's realized he's made mistakes, and he's learned from those mistakes. Hopefully he can patch up his game and connect the dots this time around and get the W. I'm rooting for you, man. I'm not putting 5 on you, but for everyone out there, I'm picking John Vellante on Topology.com. So moving forward, guys, let's see who else we got on this card. Here's something funny. Thomas Almeida versus Rob Font. I mean, it's not funny. This fight has a lot riding on it for Thomas Almeida. I mean, in 2015, 2016, Thomas Almeida was on the ultimate rise until he ran into Cody Nolov at UFC, I think 202, the night where Nate Diaz fought. Or no. When was that fight? Cody Nolov versus Thomas Almeida. Was it that night? I think it was. Was it UFC 202? Maybe not. I'm mixing it up. But the night that he ran into Cody Nolov, he just really hasn't been able to shake it off since then. And he had one of the best fights in 2017, hands down. Even though Thomas Almeida lost, he had a really good fight with our boy Jimmy Rivera. So he's in a really tight position with 2 losses right now and could really use a win. I think the UFC really helped him out with this one. Don't get mad at me if you're a fan of his opponent. But, Rob Font, man, he's on a 1-fight losing streak. So is Thomas Almeida. I think this is a great fight. I mean, Rob Font has beat Matt Schnell, Douglas Andrade. He's beaten Joey Gomez. But he's lost to John Lineker. I mean, a really tough fight against John Lineker in a unanimous decision. But Thomas Almeida, he's just on the next level. And I'd really like to see him get the win here. He was able to get 1 win over Albert Morales, but lost to Cody Garbrandt, like I said, a year and 7 months ago. It says Tapology. I don't know the exact event, but there you go. And then the loss of Jimmy Rivera. But here we go, guys. Thomas Almeida, first round or second round. You know what? It's probably going to be a second or third round finish by Thomas Almeida. Because what we've seen in the past, I haven't seen reruns of Almeida recently, but from what I remember from Thomas Almeida, usually he gets beat up a little bit in the first round. It's really intense in the first round, and then he'll come back in the second or third round and be able to get the finish. One fight in particular was the Brad Pickett fight, where Thomas Almeida was getting pieced up the entire night and was able to come back from behind and able to finish Brad Pickett. That was a really fun fight. I mean, the odds are near even here. A negative 120 for Thomas Almeida and a plus 100 for Rob Font. So it's really close. But everybody on Tapology, 88% of you guys are going with Thomas Almeida. I have to agree with you on that one, without a doubt. All right, really quick, let's breeze through the rest of this card, guys. Kyle Bochniak, he's been on the show before. I would love to see him get the win here. He's going against Brandon Davis, who currently, he's on a 4-fight winning streak right now. This is a really tough fight, really close one, and man, Kyle Bochniak, I mean, his last fight was just so tough. He really just got out-wrestled by Jeremy Kennedy. But before that, he got into a split decision with Enrique Barzola. He needs a finish really bad. Before that, he lost to Charles Rosa. And then before that, he was in CES. So he really needs to break through in the UFC, and a win over Brandon Davis. If he can put that 4-fight win streak to a skid, man, it'd be really exciting, because the UFC is going in on Brandon Davis here and could be trading spots with Kyle Bochniak. If Kyle Bochniak loses this one, he might not get signed back, and I would hate to see that. All right, also on this card, we got Dustin Ortiz versus Alexandre Pantoja. Excuse me for pronouncing that wrong. Going Dustin Ortiz there. He's holding one of the records for quickest knockouts in that weight division not too long ago. But ever since then, man, I mean, that was only, one fight ago where he beat Hector Sandoval. About 5 months ago. I'd love to see Ortiz on the rise once again. Also on this card, we have Dan Eves versus Julio Ars. Matt Bassett, local boy, he's going up against Enrique Barzola. That's going to be a really tough fight for Matt Bassett. Hopefully our hometown hero can get the win there. I would like to see him win, honestly, by submission. That's what I'm going to go for. I'd like to see him get another heel hook or something exciting like that. And lastly, guys, Gleison Tebow is back. I mean, we haven't seen him since, 2015. And ever since USADA came around, man, he just really disappeared. I mean, he used to be one of my favorite fighters back in the day, and I'm really excited to see him back here. So we're going to see what he has to do. I'm going for him. I'm not going to put money on him, but I would love to see Gleison Tebow back in action. So That's it. UFC 220 is going down tomorrow night. There are my predictions, guys. I'll be sharing them on Twitter. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Pure Evil MMA. Quick reminder, the new merch is up at teespring.com/pureevil. It's so simple to remember. teespring.com/pureevil. I got stuff for everybody that can afford $4. You got a sticker. $4, you got yourself a Pure Evil sticker. We got mugs. We got t-shirts, girl t-shirts. We got hoodies. Everything you want for Pure Evil in 2018, we got, because you asked for it. I did it. So guys, go check it out. It's shared up at my Twitter page, or just simply go to teespring.com/pureevil. For all of our new listeners, subscribe down below. We do the show every week, and following up with the recap show. Guys, here are our winners from last week's UFC Pick'em event. Minion, take it away.
Since 1993, MMA fighters from all over the world have gone into battle, shedding blood, sweat and tears to prove that they are worthy of holding the title of champion. At every UFC event, as the fighters throw down in the octagon for our entertainment, each hoping to validate that they are the best by someday having a UFC belt strapped around their waist. A second competition rages amongst the Pure Evil army for the right to lay claim to the prestigious Crystal Skull belt, for ultimate pick-em bragging rights over their evil brothers and sisters in arms. And this week, after climbing their way to the top of the Pure Evil ranks, the prominent honors of the Crystal Skull are awarded to...
Thank you so much, Minion. So this week, our first UFC Pick'em goes to MMA_Metalhead. Congratulations, man. You came in first place this week for our first event of 2018. In second, Pat. Pat is back. Oh my God. So starting 2018, fresh Pat, and you are number 2. In third, one and only BLT. In fourth, your one and only Evil Eddie. In fifth, Truk Mental. In sixth, RT the Bull. 7th, Anna Tidor. 8th, Iceman. 007. And 10th, Chill Zones. Congratulations, guys. And if you want to get down with the UFC Pure Evil MMA Pick'em League, make sure you message me on Twitter at evil_echo. Congratulations, MMA Metalhead. You are this week's Pure Evil MMA Pick'em winner. Good luck next week, guys. We got a brand new chance to become winner. Guys, do not forget about the giveaway. We're going to be doing the giveaway, and all you have to do is comment down below in iTunes. Give us a review. In 2018, we're going to be giving away a plaque, or not a plaque, but a picture of our logo, and I'll even sign it for you and mail it to our winner. The most creative, or our favorite comment, is going to be going home with a picture for Pure Evil MMA. All you have to do is just rate on iTunes how you feel about the show, what you like about the show, what you think I can improve about the show. Anything. Be honest. Guys, thank you so much. I hope I didn't miss anything. I really tried to get everything going on the week between Tony and Conor, and then UFC 220 going down this weekend, our first pay-per-view, which reminds me, Fight Night, guys, on Twitter. For everybody out there on Twitter, make sure you guys are following me at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. We always go back and forth throughout the night. I'll be switching between Bellator and UFC. I'll probably have 2 TVs set up and go between the two. And don't forget, guys, you don't have to pay $1 for a spike, so maybe that's the genius idea behind it. Maybe that's the genius of Scott Coker. Who knows? Maybe Rory McDonald should be thanking him. Who knows? Let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know what you think about Jimmy Smith and the whole cheese thing. Make sure you tweet Brian Callen never to bring cheese back to the Joe Rogan podcast, because I am not going to want to hear that ever again. Somebody tell Jimmy, by the way, because like they were talking about earlier in the podcast, if your breath stinks, you should really tell somebody. And Ronda back in the WWE. Is this what she needs, guys? You hear me talk about this all the time. Or am I just a Ronda fanboy? Oh, I'll take it. I'll take it. If I'm a Ronda fanboy, let me know. I'll take it right on the chin. John Jones passing the polygraph test. Does this give you guys hope? Let me know. I love hearing from all the listeners out there in Pure Evil MMA Army. Make sure you guys are using hashtag Pure Evil MMA, or just simply tag me on Twitter or Instagram at Pure Evil MMA. I'm Evil Eddie from MyMMAnews.com. Behave yourselves.